We begin with this. I mean, this is about the Texas wall thing. It's something to remember. Right, so here's the New York Post. Migrant children pictured howling in pain as they crawl through razor wire to reach the U.S. Now, there's several things wrong with this. Several things. It's hard to know where to begin, really. Yeah, but one, why are you pushing the children through the razor wire? I mean, that's the really obvious one. Two, why are you, one, why are you there at all? And two, why are you trying to get through the razor wire once you are there? There's two very important parts to that. And three, as the respondent here says, every time you see a picture or video online, think to yourself, how was this photo taken? Where's the photographer standing? Exactly. What series of events would lead to an image like this being spontaneously captured? We have another story today about fake war footage. And that's the latest in a long series of known instances of that happening. Unfortunately, photographs like this can be essentially faked. And I think they are very often these days. And this is an example of it, sadly.
Looks like the most faked looking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly staged. Sorry.
So there's a famous image. Yeah, there's a famous image called the two vultures.
Yeah, I've seen this, yeah.
It was originally called the vulture until somebody pointed out that there was two vultures that day. It was the camera guy. And he killed himself after that. Wow. After somebody let him know.
Really?
Yeah, because he realized that he was just a terrible person waiting for this child to die and get eaten by this vulture. I don't know why it didn't dawn on him before that, but...
If this photo is real, you are a terrible, horrific monster for not...
this is a award-winning...
picking that child up, and I've seen it before, but if that picture is real, you're a horrific monster for not picking that child up and nourishing them. However, I don't believe this. I'm being trapped in this steel cage of emotions. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't believe it. I don't believe you.
The barbed wire thing just lets me know that stage journalism is live and well, and that they're going to farm other people's suffering, especially children's, as they push children through razor wire to make this work. Yeah. Also, the amount of the lack of attempts to stop people from crawling through this razor wire by the CBP is hilarious to me.
It's sickening. Why are you taking pictures? Why are you taking pictures and not helping? Okay, if we are provided that this is real footage, you see a child who is crying and screaming because they are being dragged through razor wire. First of all, why are you dragging them through a razor wire tunnel?
I mean, that's what it's there for, to prevent people getting past it.
Or would you not help them? And you instead just take a picture? I believe that you are...
Yeah, you shouldn't be taking a photo of that. You should be live streaming it. It's hilarious.
Oh, obviously, yeah. Well, I'm laughing because of the absurdity of it.
Yeah.
You see a child screaming and crying, you should be helping the child. What are you doing?
Even if this is staged, which to some extent I think it is, these children are suffering. I'm sure because they're kids. I'm sure this is real suffering.
Yeah.
So they better bloody hope it wasn't staged, or the photographers are now responsible for this suffering. Well, I find it hard to believe that Mexicans, even those that have travelled a long way to the border, are stupid enough to try and crawl through barbed wire with their children. I just find that impossible to believe.
Especially when there's likely a port of entry a lot closer than what they're making it out to be. And they're just doing this like the way that Hamas grabs their children and pushes them up towards the border of Israel. That way they get hit by rubber bullets and shit.
This is crazy, though. This is insane.
Yeah.
It just looks so staged. I mean, if this is real, excuse me, then the photographer is a monster.
Yeah.
The photographer is a complete monster.
To be clear, the Border Patrols, the CBP, has complained off camera, and basically they're like, man, I can't do this anymore. They have these NGOs giving these people money, phones, and then shipping them off who knows where.
Patrol agent agreed to speak with us, but didn't want to go on camera. Normally, agents are not allowed to be interviewed, and all press requests are typically deferred to a public information officer who rarely ever responds. But in this instance, the agent seemed exhausted and eager to tell me what was going on.
Now, there's very few of them obeying.
How come?
Well, because they allow them in. They don't obey because they'll let them come in. They'll load them in the vans. They take them up to Phoenix, give them a $3,000 gift card and a cell phone, and send them wherever they want to go.
No shit.
Yeah, so it's not just that they are getting in, they're being funneled in, they're being helped in, they're being orientated in, they're being inducted.
Given a cell phone, and if true, they're not just being allowed in, they're being given a $3,000 gift card, which will allow them to buy what I assume that means is a Visa MasterCard, right? Those preloaded cards, so that they can pay for not just like things at like Target or Walmart or something. It's a prepaid card to pay anywhere, and a cell phone. That's insane. Can you imagine an American being given that?
So we know that the cell phone thing is real because a lot of times what happens is that some of the legal immigrants will be heading towards a population center that's actually nearby the border when they come over. Let me go grab that. But basically, they're just like, yeah, they gave me this cell phone, and they told me to meet up in like 2 years or something.
Yeah, that's what's next in this video. I did know about that, and they tend to just not show up, as far as I know. I mean, why would you? But that's how it's been designed, I expect. Let's continue watching.
Right. Yep, by design, yeah.
That's the reason I give them a phone, because they're saying if they don't give me a phone, I don't know when I'm supposed to go to court. So they give them a phone.
At first, I was confused what the Border Patrol agent meant when he kept referring to pay. To the naked eye, it appears that Border Patrol is the one handling and processing the migrants, but they're only the first step in a chain of bureaucratic authority that goes up to the Department of Homeland Security, then finally up to the Department of Justice's Executive Office for Immigration Review, which is more or less controlled by the Biden administration, who've taken a much more open arms approach to immigration after pulling back Title 42 just about a year ago.
You mean open anus?
Yeah, open anus, yeah. Which is no border whatsoever. Just open your butthole.
I'm not glad this has happened, but I'm glad about the reaction to it by the states.
I'm horrified by all of this.
Of course.
Personally.
I mean, obviously, as Artemis says, not glad this crisis is happening, but in the context of it happening, what the states are doing is, I think it's the right thing to do, and I think probably quite late, but at least they're doing it.
I just ask as to why would any nation do this?
Yeah.
Why would any nation intentionally allow this? Why would any nation intentionally allow foreign nationals into their borders while hiding all of it? That's the question.
That's the question.
I think we know the answer.
That's a question that we will answer later in the show. That's our cold open. Now for some memes. If Texans can ignore the Supreme Court without repercussions, so can everyone else, says this guy, probably with fear. But the rest of us are thinking it through. Now, the Supreme Court has made some good decisions. The Roe v. Wade thing was bad law, bad judgment. That shouldn't have been there. It should be a state's matter. That was removed.
Yes.
But they were wrong to allow to cut the fences, I think. And they're wrong with everything they say against Texas, most likely regarding the border. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing is especially with the US, but really ultimately with every country, you don't have to obey anyone. You don't have to obey any order. And the US, I believe the Constitution makes it pretty explicit that your duty is to uphold the Constitution, essentially the values of the nation, not any institution, not any individual, not any office, none of that. The values of the nation. And what Texas is doing absolutely is that.
You can make that argument legalistically. The problem is making it in a court of law. And that is where all of these issues are lying, is can you make the argument in a court of law that whatever you do is actually held up by the U.S. Constitution, which I think they can. I agree with you. But you have to make that argument, and it's going to be difficult, and it has to be held up in a court of law.
I think the point with
do you
that
know
is
that this
that...
is?
Go on.
So do you know that all of this is Amy Coney Barrett's fault?
Yeah, she was the deciding
Yes, it
vote.
is actually. Dumb. What a.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so furious with that bitch.
So,
by the way.
Not just that she was a deciding vote. In 2022, she had cited and wrote that during an extreme court case with massive ramifications, you need to take into account that you can about injunctions that you should, if the injunction supports the winning side, that you should not remove the injunction because they were going to win on merit anyways. And she then reversed that entire philosophy and was like, no, we're just going to remove the injunction.
Yeah, ACB was the wrong choice. I think Trump picked her because she was a woman. I legitimately think that's why Trump picked her, was because she was a woman and he thought that it would make him look good.
Maybe.
ACB was a really, really bad pick. I don't know this. I think Trump made a lot of bad decisions, by the way, but he should never have picked ACB because she doesn't, I don't believe, stand for anything. She was also like 35, which is an insane age for a Supreme Court first justice to be elected to the high court. That was nuts.
So one of the good things to come out of this is that this has kneecapped the Supreme Court's power to decide things that go against state interests.
Yeah.
Because right now we have 25 states that have sided with Texas
Yes.
so far. Opening
Yes,
up
that's